1920s, Germany. The Great War has just left a generation disillusioned. Nietzsche's words, "God is dead," have never rung so true, and Harry Haller is suffering. Harry sees only two conflicting ways onward in life. He could succumb to his human desires, bourgeois life's trivial pleasures, its shallow and superficial practices, in favor of their hedonistic nature. Or, alternatively, he could succumb to his reason, serving his intellectual, spiritual, and artistic practices. The former satiates his human desires, but is responsible for an existential chasm within. The latter imbues Harry with temporal meaning, but leaves him alienated, resisting conformity as his reason instructs him to, like a wolf, stranded on the fringes of society, on the steppes. Thus, Hermann Hesse's Steppenwolf. Harry knows only two ways of manifesting himself in the world, and both are at odds with his personal narrative. His values are pulling him in either direction, and the result is a tension so palpable that it permeates his every act, insofar as he can no longer function in society. A fine example of this is when he becomes sick of acting the recluse, so he succumbs to his human side and its desires for sociability and agrees to meet an old friend for dinner. However, it is at this point when the wolf of the steppes within bares its teeth. I was thinking to myself, just as I am now getting dressed, going out to visit the professor and exchange polite remarks with him, all the opposite of what I really want to do. So most human beings spend their lives acting compulsorily, day after day, hour after hour. Without really wanting to, they pay visits, hold conversations, work fixed office hours, all of it compulsorily, mechanically, against their will. It could all be done just as well as machines, or not done at all, and it is this perpetual mechanical motion that prevents them from criticizing their own lives in the way I do, from realizing and feeling just how stupid and shallow, how horribly, grotesquely questionable, how hopelessly sad and barren their existence is, to which follows an almost immediate contradiction from his human side. And oh, how right they are, these people, 1,000 times right to live the way they do, playing their little games and pursuing what seems important to them, instead of resisting this depressing machinery and staring despairingly into the void as individuals who have gone off the rails do, like me. Ultimately, Harry knows, however, that he can never completely surrender himself to this bourgeois life. For, as he puts it, once you have got to the point where you are standing on the very edge of life like me, gazing down into a dark abyss, it is wrong and dishonest to attempt to deceive yourself and others into believing that life's machinery is still running smoothly, that you can still be a party to that blissful, childlike world of endless game playing. Harry's dilemma leaves him in a meta-ethical corner. He is trying to act meaningfully in a paradoxical world, an impossible task. He expresses his ultimate resignation to this endeavor, noting, "Anyone who makes thinking his priority may well go far as a thinker, but when all's said and done, he has just mistaken water for dry land, and one of these days he'll drown." He is forced to embrace nihilism, the plague most common on the modern person's soul. The question is, how does Harry overcome nihilism? How does he find meaning? To act meaningfully, Harry requires a unified narrative for his life. All I needed to do was to gather up the scattered, fragmentary images of my life as Harry Haller, alias Steppenwolf, and raise them to the level of one rounded portrait. After all, was it not the point of every human life that it should be a determined attempt to reach such a goal? Unfortunately, he understands this is an impossible task for a man housing two sides within. The turning point in Harry's tale comes when he realizes that he may not ought to view his two narratives as mutually exclusive, but that they both deserve equal acknowledgement as individual personalities within. He reaches a point of inflection where he decides to disillusion himself of the image of a single governing self and accepts the plural valid perspectives he houses within. He comes to know that experiences valued from his human side can produce beauty as equally sublime as that of his approach from his rational wolf's persona. Wasn't Maria's glowing, childlike emotional response to the popular song from America an aesthetic experience just as pure, just as fine as that of any senior schoolmaster, spellbound by any orchestra conductor going into ecstasies over Beethoven's Ninth. At the same time, one must refrain from overindulging one side over the other. The key is to remain perceptive to the needs of the voices within. Harry warns of the dangers of the ease of not paying attention to this, particularly in the current age's amplified hedonistic practices, which have amplified tenfold since his writings with the rise of short-form social media consuming us. Just like the beginnings of radio today, all this would only serve to make human beings surround themselves with an ever more dense network of distraction and pointlessly fevered activity, thus deserting their true selves and destiny. Hess's conclusion about the nature of the self isn't entirely mere philosophical speculation, as proven by groundbreaking scientific discovery. 1960s California. In Roger Sperry and Michael Gazzaniga's split brain studies, the corpus callosum connecting the two hemispheres was surgically severed in epilepsy patients, allowing each side of the brain to be tested in isolation. When an image was flashed only to the left visual field, processed by the right hemisphere, patients said they saw nothing, because speech centers are in the left hemisphere. Yet with their left hand, they could draw or pick up the object they couldn't name. In other trials, a command such as walk was shown only to the right hemisphere. The patient would get up and start walking, but when asked why, might confabulate an unrelated reason, such as I needed to stretch my legs. These striking dissociations show that the hemispheres can hold different perceptions, intentions, and even motivations at the same time, so that what we call a single consciousness is really a coordinated blend of multiple, potentially contradictory streams of awareness. In the end, Harry chooses to nurture these internal voices in a fluid, transient manner, embracing their paradoxical coexistence from the insight that he embodies many facets of Harry Haller. In this way, he is finally able to consolidate the beauty in art and sport and orchestra and jazz and literature and passion and mathematics and movies under one coherent, unified narrative that is Harry Haller.